Welcome back to Sunrise Spotlight. I'm Terissa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. We are very excited to be back in your homes this month where we belong. So thank you for joining us. We have a special guest. It's her first time on the show, I do believe. She hasn't been with the city too terribly long, but she's going to tell us all about that. Please welcome from the city of Fort Pierce, Jennifer Hofmeister.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes.
This is your first time, right? Because you've been with this city for how long now?
It will be 1 year in August.
August?
Yes, I started the week of the hurricane.
Oh, that's always a nice time to start. When I first moved here in 2004, I quit my job August 31st, and then we had two hurricanes, Francis and Jean.
Welcome.
Not even a week later. So I do know that feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. Director of Planning for the city of Fort Pierce. So tell everybody what that is, really.
Well, planning is... I've been doing it for close to 30 years in the Tri-County area, so it's everything that I've learned in my past I've brought to the table with the city of Fort Pierce, and very excited to be there. There's so much opportunity, so much development going on in the city.
Yeah.
So when it comes to planning, you actually have two types of planning. There's current planning, which is more the development review, site plans, but then you also have comprehensive planning, which really is the way you implement the long-range vision of the city. And that's the most exciting. That's where you really, you set policy, you look at how things are currently, and you really engage the public when it comes to long-range comprehensive planning. You cannot do that just yourself with among staff. You really have to know what the public sees, where they want to have
what they want. So we do that a lot. We used to call them charrettes, but I don't think you're allowed to call them charrettes anymore.
Oh, we do.
You do still call them charrettes, where they invite the public to come in and say, we're going to develop if we were going to develop the port, what is it you would like to see?
Correct,
there?
and we are currently undergoing that process right now.
For the port. Yes, and I work at the Chamber of Commerce, and so I always hear the same thing. I want a Costco and a Cheesecake Factory. That's what they think long-term planning is. But really, it's more than that. It is the overall look is part of it, and then your economic development plan, like what works, what areas shall we put manufacturing, and what areas should be really retail.
Absolutely, and that's all zoning.
Yeah, so you're really getting into the long term, what does the city look like in 20 years? And I've never met a planner that didn't think that was the best part of planning. Really reviewing things now that are before you, like the current projects, is great, and then you can help with design standards, but then every planner I've ever known has always been like, I want the vision of the city is in 20 years.
And there is a relationship, because when you have your current site plans that come in, you have to make sure that those plans are implementing the vision of the city. So there is a definite relationship between the two.
And it's so funny because I think that from the Chamber of Commerce viewpoint, we're all about commerce, surprise, surprise. So we're always like, well, what makes economic sense along with quality of life, because you really can't have one without the other. So it's a delicate balance. And so I think that oftentimes that we have a whole task force devoted to sort of examining that balance and working together with local jurisdictions, which I chair to help maintain that balance, because it's a rough one. I mean, there are all kinds of visions, and no two peoples are the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, so very good. But as the Director of Planning for the City of Fort Pierce, you're in charge of the City of Fort Pierce vision at this moment for the future. Very good. So there you go, a lesson in planning. But that's not why you're here today.
That is not why I'm here today, but it's nice to introduce my role to everyone.
Yeah, we want to know, you're new, and we want to get to know you a little bit. We always try to do that when somebody first comes on the show. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I did know you had a long history of working in planning. And so.
Both the public and the private sector.
Yeah.
So.
Very good. But we're here today to talk about something incredibly serious.
Very, very, very important.
Yes, and I don't think people understand quite what it means. So let's just dive into it. You're here to talk about the census.
Yes, I am. I don't believe many people realize that the Constitution mandates being counted.
Yes, they have to do one.
We have to, all of us.
Yes.
And regardless of whether you are a citizen or not, you are worth being counted. And for every person who does not get counted, we have the potential of losing $2,000.
Yeah. And people don't realize that. Let's dive into it. When you say a constitutional right, people get a little scared, like, or mandate. But the reality is that every 10 years, we take a head count. It's just a head count.
To find out what our needs are,
Yeah.
where the population is growing, and how we address and meet the needs of a growing population.
Right.
Because it's tied to not only representation, which is the foundation of our country, but also to federal funding. And that is what has developed over the years. Our founding fathers required census taking so that representation was properly accounted for throughout the country.
Right.
So the more population that you have, the more people in the House of Representatives.
Yes, because that's how they determine it. It is per person. There is
Correct.
sort of a service area, so to speak, and they need to know how large that service area is. But that service area translates into federal funding.
And that is what has happened over the years.
Yeah. So if we don't count you, we're not going to get funding for you.
And we will get less. The less people counted, the less money we get from federal dollars. And that goes to social services. That goes to helping with economic development, because all those dollars go into such programs as SHIP. And a lot of that money goes to help lower income neighborhoods redevelop. And everything is tied. It also goes into local politics, of how we determine when we need to develop a new school. Because the population is increasing. Because the census takes into account, they ask certain questions on your age, how many people live in your household, your sex, your ethnicity. But the one thing that they do not ask is if you are a citizen.
And we always want people to understand one thing, that is, there is no repercussion from you filling this out.
Absolutely not.
They don't even ask you about citizenship. They don't ask you about any records with the police or warrants or anything like that. And the best part is nobody gets to see this information.
It is completely confidential. So what happens are those workers that from the census take an oath to not share any of the information they have gathered with anyone.
And the census people themselves cannot share that with any other government entity for decades.
72 years.
Yes. So for 72 years, those records are sealed.
Yes, they are.
So there is no reason not to fill this out.
Correct.
And I think a lot of times the people that need to be counted the most are afraid to be counted.
And that is unfortunate. So what we are trying every attempt to reach those people.
Yeah.
I brought some samples, and if you drive around town, you'll see we have some flyers.
Okay.
And we have them translated. So we have it both in English, we have it in Spanish, and in Creole.
Very good.
And these flyers, they explain in very simple ways that you need to be counted in order for us to get more federal dollars.
They go to schools. It says right on their schools, hospitals, emergency
Roads,
services,
everything.
roads, everything that we use, and social service programs that are in desperate need. And so are some of these lower income areas where we're having the hardest time getting the reporting done. And so we've gotten on board with this. I don't know any agency in the county right now that's not on board with trying to get the census.
There's a competition now.
Yeah, we need to get that done. 100% is always the goal. But we don't want to leave any money on the table, especially right now.
And we have actually, it's very important to understand that during this COVID-19 crisis, we have actually used federal dollars to help people pay their rent, pay their mortgage, help with small business loans. All of that is due to federal dollars.
It is. In fact, right now, St. Lucie County, we're in their home right now in the studios here at St. Lucie County. They are getting ready to receive $55 million in federal funding to help people in our community. And that $55 million was directly related to the amount of people that we have in our community, and we find that out through the census.
Yes.
It's not official until you've been accounted in the census. And so we need people to really, really understand that. Now, they did make the announcement they're going to start knocking doors because they've done robocalls and they've done mailings, and now we're getting desperate and we're going to come knock on your door, which is really not what anybody wants. I'm wondering, is there still an opportunity to do it online?
Yes, there is. Speaking of the census workers, today actually began the soft opening of that in about 5 states. St. Lucie County, we have not begun yet, but by August 11th, every city and county will have workers going out and knocking on doors.
Yeah.
You can still, this is the first time that the census allows the opportunity to go online and do your census. And our planning department has initiated a volunteer opportunity that we are partnering with the Up Center on Orange, where every other Friday we have our laptops and we try and reach those that are most often not being accounted for. And helping them go through the process of answering just these 10 simple questions.
It is very quick and easy. I'm going to pick one of these up because I'm looking for the actual website. And for those of you, the Up Center, the United Against Poverty Center is right there at the corner of 25th and Orange.
And Orange.
Yeah. So they can head over there if they need help, or if they don't have access to online or the internet or any of those great things. But right on this flyer, you can call. You can go to my2020census.gov. I can't believe I got that without my glasses on, but I'm
very impressed.
I know. I saw numbers and I assume that's what it is, my2020census.gov. Or you can call 844-330-2020, and they can walk you through the process too. It is of the utmost importance, everybody. We are all benefiting from those funds, and we can't get them if you don't get counted.
Exactly.
All right. So, thank you for that. I appreciate that, and hopefully everybody will do that. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to end our show talking about, I mentioned earlier when we visited with our sponsor, we do have our mask ordinance in play throughout the county, and it is only for 30 days, and 30 days from the 15th. So it ends August 15th. I'm not sure when this is airing, but it ends August 15th unless it is renewed, and they continue that. And that was by special order of our county administrator. I field a lot of questions on it. There's a lot of confusion. People think that the county commissioners voted that in. They did not. This was an emergency order via our county administrator, who has the power to do that. And I implore you to please head to stlucieco.gov to read that ordinance so that you feel armed with the facts, because I see a lot of misinformation on, on social media. Let's not cover that. Let's not sugarcoat that. There's a lot of misinformation. You heard it here first. There's a lot of misinformation on social media. So please arm yourself with the facts, because it is not often what people think it is. There are reasons that you can be sans mask in our community. But I also want to make sure that my businesses, and I mean, when I say my businesses, I mean all of St. Lucie County, not just the members of the chamber. The members of the chamber hold a dear place in my heart, but we are now offering the ability to buy masks through us at a very, very low price to make sure that all businesses are armed with those, because our goal is to progress in the reopening process. Quality life, as we mentioned, is directly tied to the ability to work. Economic development is what's going to ensure our ability in the future. And so we want to make sure our businesses continue to open. We want everybody to be able to go back to bars, but we want everybody to be able to do it safely. So head over to stluciechamber.org, stluciechamber.org, and order your masks. We have a very limited supply, but we have plenty right now. I think we can get people through and get them started. So that's what the chamber is offering up. I know you at the city, you're closed for appointments only.
Appointments only.
But for permitting, planning, development sites, for development, you are always open.
We always have our pre-apps every week and our technical review committee meetings, and everything is done by Zoom or teleconferencing or by appointment only if they do want to come in.
Yeah.
But we do limit that based on social distancing.
But they always have the ability to do it. Yeah. Nothing, you can still file whatever it is you need to file.
We have been extremely busy. So
Good.
We've actually done a reduction on our fee schedule for a period of 6 months, and pre-applications are at no cost. So we're seeing some really, really fabulous projects come through the doors.
I forgot to commend the city of Fort Pierce for that. I believe they've instituted a moratorium on impact fees for 6 months. For a year on
impact fees for a year in the CRA.
Okay.
And then our fee schedule when it comes to development till November 30th.
Wow, good. Glad to see it, because in our area of the world, chamber and economic development fees and impact fees are always always a thing of contention.
Yes.
But also very necessary, and we do understand
cost
that
for
as well.
development.
It is. You have to do infrastructure. You need roads and bridges and utilities, and so we definitely get it in schools. So it's not that we don't want them. It's, we're always sort of skating a line. But anyway, I digress, and we will talk soon about that. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming on and speaking to us about the census and remind everybody how important it is. Thank you to Denise. I want to call her Denise Sour Cream, but I'm going to call her Denise Smetana, which is the actual correct pronunciation of her name, and to Bob from the City of Fort Pierce for producing our show today. We appreciate it very much. Have a great month, everybody. We will see you next month right back here in the studios. Have a great day.